Hello, Nate. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. Great to be here, and thank you for having me.
Beautiful, my man. And thank you so very much for being here, you see. I really appreciate you. And oftentimes, Nate, I love to thank my guests for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So I want to say thank you so very much, Nate, for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you did invested in yourself, just like I mentioned earlier. And oftentimes, my man, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. They say some couple of months back, Nate, I was on a road, one particular road like that, and there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree just by the roadside. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves are all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But just recently, my man, I was on that same road, and this time around, the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it. Beautiful green leaves and healthy branches. It caught my attention pretty good. That very day was a very exciting one. A lovely experience at that. So here's my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Nate that you are today, that alone has made it impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you got the request from me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing. Your knowledge, your philosophies, the impact your work is having, and how you're offering your solutions. These stuffs are beautiful. And just before I sent you that request, my man, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from these beautiful things Nate is doing. And not only me now, because I don't want to be selfish, but even with the audience. And here we are today with the amazing Nate. So thank you so very much for doing that yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing Elisha could do about it. Thank you so much, my man.
Thank you. No, those are very kind words, and yeah, yeah,
Beautiful.
just very honored and flattered by that.
And thank you so very much for being here. So let's get started, my man. You see, I'm quite excited to have you on the show today for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Nate, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information, and not just knowledge now, but the application of it. And you see, my man, ever since I realized that light in the Hebrew means knowledge, and darkness ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the incredible Nate on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, my man, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got a lot of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, Nate, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, my man, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how Nate got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Nate, over to you.
So, to give a little on my background, I've spent about the last decade in the spaces of political innovation and bridge building. Where that comes from, where that impetus comes from to work in these spaces is I've seen a lot of political division from an early age. I grew up in a town that leaned very much one way, with a family that leaned very much the other way. And I saw these divisions and these disagreements growing. And I saw those involved, those people at the heart of these arguments and these fights, less and less capable of reconciling their differences. And I saw as the social media age began, that take more and more hold over our elected politics, that become more prominent. that become more predominant within not only the culture of America, but all over the world, just these political differences being harder and harder to reconcile. And I knew that not only was this a failure of messaging and a failure of us as a society to maintain civility and good discourse, but it was also leading to much worse problem solving. It was leading to exploitation by not only rabble rousers and demagogues, but everything from online trolls to media feeding on the fear and feeding on the division. And as someone who has a lot of ideas, who has, I would say, a fair amount to say and to try to add to the conversation, the fact that there was no conversation was deeply disheartening to me. So one of my most recent projects is I went out and I wrote a book. I have that book here with me. It is Common Ground from the Ground Up. And through this book and through any means that I can, I am looking to foster a kind of societal healing and foster a healthier mindset, a healthier rethinking of what it means to disagree with one another and how we can work through that productively.
I tell you, and this is a very beautiful and very important thing that you're doing, because I realize something. Division is so common in the world, and wherever division is present, it'll be very, very difficult to hold the government accountable. It'll be very difficult to approach the government that is corrupt and call for change because there are division. And in this part of the world that I'm in, the government, they've got those big wings, and they keep creating policies that is affecting people, and they keep doing these things successfully. Why? Because the people lacks unity. So that's why I said what you're doing is very, very important. So I've got this question. I want us to begin from your book. Can you talk to us more on what inspired you to write that wonderful book? Come on, ground from the ground up.
So the inspiration for the book itself is realizing that throughout all of my work, when I was working with third parties, bridge building movements, these spaces where we would try to encourage conversation, start conversation, we were in our own bubble to a degree as well, where it was very hard for us to attract those who weren't already interested in having better conversation. And who needs the conversation, who needs the dialogue the most is not the people who are going and asking for the dialogue. It is the people who don't realize that. And what I realized is not only were we in our own bubble, but that this was a shared and something of a unifying thread. That through the division that has festered and has developed, we're all stuck trying to break through our echo chambers, break through our ideological in-groups, and try to move the needle in a way that our ideas can access those who don't already agree with them. And Common Ground from the Ground Up is my attempt at offering a way to rethink politics, to rethink what it means to disagree with one another and to have a conversation, and to use that as an empowerment tool, above all, to help people express their ideas, their voices in the best way that they can. And I think one of the failures, one of the needs within this space of starting a dialogue, of building bridges, is this idea that politics is not worth fighting for, not worth fighting about. And it is. It is absolutely worth fighting about. But the case that we need to be making within this dialogue encouraging space is there are better ways to express yourself than to fight. Even though it seems like the loudest and the most active and the most direct, it is not the most effective. And if I can make the case to people that having these civil conversations, that opening your mind and being thoughtful is actually a better way to bring your voice into the conversation than by fighting, by yelling, by doing any of these things, then I think that can start to fundamentally change how people perceive political conflict.
Wow, opening your mind. That's pretty profound. Okay, so how do you define common ground in today's divided world?
So there are a few ways of looking at common ground. I think the most common way that people perceive it is it's the things we can all agree on. But for me, with this book, that was not my area of emphasis. So I made an effort to focus not on the common ground of the things we agree on. There are fewer of those, and we care very much about the things we don't agree on. That's the reality of the matter. The common ground that we need is the language, the way that we deal with conversation, the way that we deal with the things that we don't agree with. That common ground is something we can build as far as an emphasis on curious, constructive dialogue. Things like this allow us to engage in conversation, allow us to challenge our beliefs, allow us to disagree with one another and learn from that disagreement rather than fighting and stressing over it. And that is the essential common ground that we can build that allows for all of this disagreement to happen, and for a democratic society, a society that emphasizes the voices of its people to succeed within this new age of communication that we're in.
This is amazing, and thank you so very much for explaining it that way. I got it. So let's talk about curiosity. How can curiosity help us bridge divides? Got it?
Yes. So there's a few levels of it. One of the most direct, the essential goal of it all. It is an application of the golden rule. And I think you well know this rule, and most people in any culture they're from, they know some variation of do unto others as you would want to have done unto you. Or in the reverse, do not do unto others as you would not want done unto yourself. And so the way that we apply this to dialogue and discourse is if you want someone to open their mind to what it is you have to say, the best thing you can do, as difficult as it may seem, is to open your mind to what it is they have to say. And how do you get there? How do you motivate that? This is by appreciating the potential within any conversation, within any person you talk to, any person you reach out to, you get to learn from them. You are not beholden to fight them. You have nothing to gain by fighting them. But you have this incredible opportunity to see a new perspective, to learn about why it is they are inclined to believe what they believe, why it is a certain message resonates and another one doesn't, and what drives them. And this curiosity, this can not only make things more enjoyable, but can empower people to just look at conversation in a completely different way and to gain so much more from it.
Can I call you Mr. Lecturer? Because this is a beautiful class.
Sure, if you want. I'll accept any names.
Thank you so very much. I tell you, this is really interesting. Okay, so I've got two more questions to go. All right. So, can you share a story, still on curiosity, okay, where curiosity changed a conversation?
Curiosity changed a conversation.
Yeah, like a story. Yeah.
Well, so I'll talk more generally because curiosity doesn't usually come up within the middle of a conversation. So it's hard for it to change the direction of a conversation. But I will share a personal story where an appreciation of different perspectives allowed me to engage in better conversation. I have a great aunt, and she is what some might call a little bit of a difficult person. She is arguing with people a lot. She is very particular. When she doesn't like something, she lets people know. And over time, I started to learn a little more about my own family's history. So I live in the United States. My family immigrated to the United States shortly before I was born. They came from the Soviet Union. It's very difficult to leave the Soviet Union. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of effort, and the government does not like people leaving, or did not like people leaving in the 1980s. And the reason we left, one of the biggest reasons we left, is because someone was very vocal that they did not want to live there, that there was no opportunity there, that there was no future there. And this someone was my great aunt. That the very thing that made her, for some people, a little difficult was what motivated her to take action, to be this voice of urgency that was needed. And this is an appreciation that this person who thinks and acts completely differently than myself is so essential to what I have in my life. That this was a position where, for me, I like to pride myself on being adaptable, on being patient, thoughtful. I am the opposite personality type, and the very person who would struggle to take that action step. And that appreciation of how much this different way of looking at the world did for my life and for my well-being allowed me to open my mind and welcome new perspectives and engage with people who other people might be turned off by in a way that just gave them space to talk, share their ideas. And after a while, if you engage like that, if you say, oh, I want to learn more, and if you show you want to learn more and you're curious where these people are coming from, they start to cool down a little. They're like, well, maybe they expected you to fight back and you're just trying to understand better. And suddenly they ask what you have to say. And suddenly they start to inquire, well, how do you look at this? What do you think about this? And you start to exchange ideas and you start to really grow together. And that's beautiful.
Very, very beautiful, and thank you for sharing that. Okay, so finally, what is one practical step listeners can take right now to build bridges?
Do not look to any political conversation seeking to win. Go into it seeking to learn. If that is your goal, first of all, it goes from something where only one person can really win a political conversation. If it's a fight. But if you are both seeking to learn, then you can both win. Then you can both grow. And that mentality shift to go from a competitive to a collaborative approach to dialogue is the most essential step that anyone can take who is struggling with making sense and making peace with political conversations.
I think I got that. Seeking to win and seeking to learn. Okay. So to bring this to an end, Nate, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those folks who like to reach out to you, learn more about the beautiful stuff you're doing, or even ask you questions, how can that be possible?
If anyone wants to find me, I do have a site, nathansmolensky.com. You can also find my book, Common Ground from the Ground Up, on Amazon and most major online retailers. I encourage people to reach out to me. I have to practice what I preach. I think it's very important to do that. And I grow just as much as anyone from having new ideas, having people who challenge me, who have something to add to the conversation, who have something to add to the dialogue and to the discourse. So I'm very excited by that, very excited to hear from more people, new people. And I encourage anyone also, if they have an idea for those in their lives who may benefit from better dialogue, I do talks, I do events, and I would love to connect.
That's so beautiful, my man. You're just so good at what you do. I love it.
Oh,
So
thank
that's
you.
going to be the end of the show, Nate. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this wonderful stuff with us. It means a whole lot. Thanks, my man.
Thank you.